Knicks fans, what is going on this June 3rd, Tuesday evening? Few days after the New York Knicks season has ended, we get an absolute bomb that dropped at about 2:40 p.m. Eastern as former head coach Tom Thibodeau is no longer coaching the New York Knicks. Wow. An absolute crazy afternoon. And it was starting to get to this point. It was starting to build up to this point where we kind of knew this was coming, but we didn't know at the same time. And you guys know in the chat, I've been clamoring for it. I've been hoping for it. And we got it. Tom Thibodeau is no longer the New York Knicks head coach. A lot of things to talk about, right? A lot of areas to go to, a lot of different angles to touch on. I'm going to try to get through it all tonight. But once again, I appreciate every single one of you guys in there. Smash the like button, subscribe, follow, all the good stuff before we get started here. I'll wait for a little bit more of you to trickle in here, but this is crazy. This is wild. Look, the Knicks have had their best season in the last 25 seasons. Going to the Eastern Conference Finals, achieving so much this year with a unit that was super talented. But in the end, they made the call that Tom Thibodeau was not the right guy for the job. I was going to come on here tonight and literally before all the firing, I was going to come on here, talk about all the trade rumors. I saw a lot of Durant rumors. I saw a lot of Cat rumors. I was going to come on here and talk about everything but this, and we would have touched on this. But Leon Rose made a decision that Tom Thibodeau was not the right person for this job, and Tom Thibodeau would not take us to the promised land. And here we are. First and foremost, before we talk about Tom Thibodeau, I just want to say, through the highs and lows, mostly highs, since Tom Thibodeau has been here, Tom Thibodeau brought toughness, identity, winning basketball back to New York City, composed through all the chaos, relentless in preparation, lived, breathed basketball. This man, all he cared about was basketball. All he cared about was basketball. A hell of a coach who gave the city everything he had, changed the culture since the moment we signed him. Where me personally, I wanted to sign him just to get some stability. Because in a time of chaos 5 years ago, I just wanted some stability. I wanted the Knicks to go to Tom Thibodeau. We signed him. We got stability. And now it's time to search for our next head coach to hopefully bring us to the promised land. So Tom Thibodeau, New York appreciates you. Thank you for everything you've done. And I just hope wherever you're next in wherever your journey takes you next, I just hope you kill it like always, man. So shout out to Tom Thibodeau. Really, just hell of a basketball mind, right? So now that I got that out the way, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Thibodeau is gone. He's gone. It's what I wanted. It's what most of us wanted. I know a lot of you didn't want, but ladies and gentlemen, Tom Thibodeau is no longer the Knicks head coach. When it all came down to, when it was all said and done, right? When it was all said and done, a new voice was necessary. Thibs had a great run. But in my opinion, his inability, his unwillingness to expand the rotation, expand the bench when the New York Knicks had the 3 seed locked up for the better part of a month, I just thought that's what ultimately gave in. And don't gloss over the locker room, right? The locker room. Jaylen Brunson loved Thibs. Josh Hart loved Thibs. Everyone else seems like they didn't. Ever since Mikal Bridges made those comments prior to the Portland game, that was the camel that broke the straw that broke the camel's back. Ever since the Mikal Bridges comments. Once Mikal Bridges was made public with those comments, I knew Tom Thibodeau's job was right? Appreciate you guys in here once again. Coach Shier, what's going on? This Rover, nostalgic. What's going on, people from X? This Rover says, thank you for all you've done for us, Thibs, but it's time to start a new chapter. Yes. Castro says, mostly highs. Our fan base was the most hyped this year. Angela says, thank you, Thibs. This Rover says he had a great run, a solid 5 years of improvement. Tom Thibodeau did nothing but win. Right? Did nothing but win as his time in New York. And when it was all said and done, this Knicks team, the Knicks front office thought that this Knicks team underachieved versus the Indiana Pacers. There was talk in the Detroit series that when it was 1-1, Thibs' job was hanging on by a thread when the Pistons took the Knicks to 6 games. And then the Boston series happens. And then you get the 2 games in Boston, and then you win that series. And then the Indiana Pacers series happens. And then you lose the first 2 games at home. He fails to make the adjustments. He fails to go to his bench. What we've been clamoring for forever, it seems like, as Knicks fans, right? Ever since. I mean, I can go back to Obi Toppin. Wanted this man to play more than 10 minutes a game. Never did. Alec Burks, remember last year with all the injuries, finally went to Alec Burks. Finally goes to DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet in game number 3, and they play their ass off, and everyone's like, see? Rookies barely saw the floor this year, and I think the roster was never fully maximized, right? I think this Knicks roster was never fully maximized to their full potential. That's just my personal opinion. And to think, this is a big deal, guys, because his extension hasn't even kicked in yet. Tom Thibodeau's extension kicks in next year. He's owed like $30 million next year for his extension in totality. So this Knicks front office decided that's a lot of money to be paying a coach. They decided that this was not the guy to take us to the promised land. And they went through their interviews this week. It came out from Ian Begley. I posted on my screen really quick. Just try to get this up here. Ian Begley says the way the Knicks conducted their season end review of the organization was different than normal, as top players on the roster were called into meetings that owner James Dolan was also present. Eventually, those reviews led to the Knicks deciding to move on from Tom Thibodeau as head coach. So, Jaylen Brunson at the end of Game 6 had high praise for Tom Thibodeau, but in the heat, like, it was still fresh at the end of the game. He was still pissed off. He was like, really, you're going to ask me this? Yes, I do think Tom Thibodeau can bring us to the promised land. And unfortunately, I think this is just the beginning of what's going to be a crazy summer for the New York Knicks. This is just the beginning. Because you have the Mikal Bridges extension looming. And if you guys don't think just for a second that Mikal Bridges had a big input in this, you're wrong. Mikal Bridges seemed out of it for majority of the season, seemed out of it in the second half of the season. Seemed like him and Thibs didn't get along ever since his comments. Knicks traded 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. So whether you want to say that they chose Mikal over Thibs, I mean, after Game 6, you heard Deuce McBride saying we got exposed. Mikal Bridges upset. A lot of stuff to go through, guys. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Appreciate you guys over on TikTok. Make sure you follow, subscribe. Smash the like button, man. We are just getting started on this Tuesday evening. I cannot believe it. Tom Thibodeau is no longer our head coach. And look, a lot of Knicks fans have been waiting for this moment. A lot of Knicks fans have been hoping, praying. We've been gaslighted, saying that we're dumb. We don't know what we're talking about. When we've been calling for this. Right? Well, I've been calling for this. Excuse me. I don't want to put everyone in that same category. But you guys know, like, ever since the game in, where was it? Charlotte, where the Knicks were on, I think it was Charlotte, where the Knicks were on a back-to-back. The Knicks were on a back-to-back, and he played 7 guys, bro. In the beginning of the season, he had a 7-man rotation. It was like Game 5, a 7-man rotation. Daddy played in Game 1. Didn't play since. No Daddy. No Tyler Kolek. No Aria Hukporti. Never tried to mix those guys in certain situations just in case when you reach far in the playoffs, you can go to them when other guys are struggling on your team. Never incorporated them in any sense of lineups. Never. And that's Thibs' MO. Look, on one end, you can say that we got to the Eastern Conference Finals. Who cares? On the other end, you can say that the Knicks won 2 games against the Pacers team, but they should have beat them. They were the more talented team. They got outcoached thoroughly. You had Rick Carlisle clamoring. Rick Carlisle was pretty much telling Thibodeau about his bench. He was like, we still haven't even seen Precious Achiuwa. And we still haven't even seen shit. He's literally telling Tom Thibodeau, look, man, you got these guys on a bench, man. So, first and foremost, what a last crazy 3 or 4 weeks to be a New York Knicks fan, honestly. I mean, you had the series against Boston, which was just so electric, right? Then you had the great wins, the great Game 3, against the Indiana Pacers. Great Game 5 against the Indiana Pacers. And everyone's looking at like, we can make the NBA Finals. The city's going crazy. The city is buzzing. You got the team names on the streets. You got Brunson. You got Hukporti. You got Towns on the streets. You got the mayor putting the names on the streets. Then you lose to the Indiana Pacers in 6 games. And not even a week goes by. We lost Saturday, guys. It's Tuesday. And the Knicks, Tom Thibodeau, nice to know you. Peace out. With the extension not even kicking in. That told me that there was a problem in the locker room. And what we've been saying as Knicks fans got justified today. Right? What Mikal Bridges told Tom Thibodeau got justified today. Got justified today. So I bring you guys so yesterday, right? I make a Tom Thibodeau breaking graphic, not knowing anything, just in case, because I started to hear some stuff, just in case this day were to come. I made a Tom Thibodeau breaking graphic. I saved it, exported it to my phone, just in case. Yesterday. Today, he's gone. Yuri, what up? Crimes Dad, what up? Appreciate the members in here. Nostalgia says, shout out to the Minutes Police. We won our case. Oh, man. Bob, what's going on? Appreciate you in here, Bob. Dib supporters lost all credit calling people names. Yeah, look. I don't want to rag on them because we were called names. We were called crazy. We were like, every time I would hear somebody call into radio stations with the thought of firing Tom Thibodeau, they were shut down. They were shut down. They didn't let us speak. They didn't let us voice our mind. That's why I come on here and try to give you guys, my honest opinion. I hopped on the train. You guys know that. I hopped on the train in the middle of the season during that, I think it was the Charlotte game, Hornets game, where he played 7 guys after a back-to-back. I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, you got your bench, you don't use them, right? And you start to look back at different moments. You start to look back at Obi Toppin. Hated him. Obi Toppin hated him. Obi Toppin could not get off the bench for more than 10 minutes when he was here. Hated Tom Thibodeau. Now Obi Toppin could win an NBA championship. Not saying Obi Toppin's the main reason Indiana's at that point, but he's a very vital piece to Indiana's success, right? I mean, remember, Emmanuel Quickley, when he was here, he never figured out that lineup until they condensed it and traded Quickley and Barrett for OG Anunoby. That's when, they condensed it from 2 players to 1, because they know Tom Thibodeau just can't navigate through lineups for, someone that is such a highly regarded head coach. That was not his strong suit. So this is why I said after the season, you can give Thibodeau a bench. You can give Thibodeau a bench all you want. I don't think he's going to play him. Right? You can give him a bench. So, Yuri with the super chat. What's going on, Yuri? Appreciate you in here. Yuri says, I want to thank Thibs for helping my organization getting back on my feet, and we truly are a contender thanks to him. It's a weird feeling on Thibs. Yuri, yes. Don't know if you just came in here, but appreciate the super chat. Thank you for the support as always. Yes, I said my piece on Thibs. I congratulated him. Hell of a tenure as a New York Knicks head coach. And congratulations to Tom Thibodeau on everything he accomplished. But now the New York Knicks are coachless, man. And this goes to show you that everything that we heard that was going on in that locker room was true. Was true. Everything. Guys were going to PJ Tucker. Instead of their head coach. Come on. There was tension there, and now the tension's gone, right? Now the tension's gone. First domino to fall of the 2025 Knicks summer. Tom Thibodeau is no longer the Knicks head coach. But, again, I want to remember Tom Thibodeau as a great head coach for us. Somebody who came in here and changed the franchise. Like, I sound like I'm talking a lot of negativity surrounding Thibs, but I want to remember him as the guy who came in here and changed everything. You can say Brunson, you can say it, yes, but Thibodeau had guys have career seasons as a New York Knicks head coach. Career seasons. Right? You got to give him credit for that. You got to. But there comes a point in where things get stale. Things get stuck. Right? It's like a similar situation to Golden State when they fired Mark Jackson when he was a coach for the Warriors. Right? Mark laid the foundation. Mark Jackson laid the foundation for the Warriors. Steve Kerr came in. Different voice. Different concept. And took them over the top. Now, they were a great team. But maybe a new voice is exactly what this Knicks team needed. Maybe a new voice is exactly what this Knicks team needed. And I think this is a good day. I do, when it's all said and done. I've seen the negativity surrounding it. I've seen why would you do this after reaching the Eastern Conference Finals. But everyone does not know what was going on in that locker room. You don't know. And for what we've saw in articles, what we've been told is that it was not pretty in that locker room. People didn't get along. And was Tom Thibodeau the head of the snake? And what happened today shows you that he was. So, here we are, guys. Here we are. Yuri says we were an offensive juggernaut before then, and all of a sudden it stopped in January because teams started to put centers on Josh Hart, Yuri. Nostalgia says this team never got along. Appreciate the subscription. Charles Bradley, appreciate the subscription. Yeah, we're here, guys. We're here. So Tom Thibodeau is no longer the Knicks head coach, and now we have to try to figure out who's the next guy. You know the Knicks have someone in mind, and I'm telling you guys, yesterday Johnny Bryant was released that he was a finalist to become the Suns head coach. Yesterday, Johnny Bryant was a finalist to become the next Suns head coach. Today, Tom Thibodeau's gone. I like Johnny Bryant. A lot of people think that the New York Knicks need an experienced head coach, not a rookie head coach, right? Depends what direction you guys would want to go in. I see Dan Hurley in the chat from Jim Bob. So you think Johnny Bryant is the answer? Jay Wright, who is Johnny Bryant, assistant coach on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Mike Malone, right? A lot of names now will be thrown into the hat. There'll be a lot of names that would be thrown into the hat. And this next move, this next hiring for this Knicks front office brass is so important. So important. You cannot take a step back. If you do this, you cannot take a step back because people are going to look at today and say, see, why did you fire Tom Thibodeau if you took a step back? I personally don't think they will take a step back. I personally don't want to look at it like that. I personally think that they needed a new voice, right? I mean, but I don't know if going to a rookie head coach is the right move, or even a college head coach is the right move. But Mike Malone's name has been thrown out there, but let me tell you this, like I'm him says in the chat, Mike Malone has the same problems as Thibs. The only thing Mike Malone has under Thibs is a ring, right? He has a ring, but he, again, is kind of like a clone of Tom Thibodeau. When he has his guys, he has his guys. He has his guys. And we're looking at a different NBA now. And maybe the New York Knicks recognize that. This is a different NBA. Look at the two teams in the NBA Finals, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the two teams in the NBA Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder, one of the deepest teams in the league. The Indiana Pacers, one of the deepest teams in the league. Yes, they have the star talent. Yes, OKC has the MVP. But these are coaches that go deep into their bench, go deep into their bench. Now, I can say all that, and whoever is on the Knicks bench, I don't know what Pack Home Daddy is going to be. We never saw him. Granted, he was 18, 19, fresh. I don't know what Huck Porty's going to be. I think he has a bright future. We never saw him. Tyler Kolek, we never really saw him. I don't know what these guys are going to be. You could say Tyler Kolek's undersized, but this is a new NBA. Right? I can't believe it, guys. I can't believe it. Now, a lot of people are calling the Knicks a disaster of an organization. They think James Dolan had his hands in a cookie jar. A lot of people think James Dolan had his hands in a cookie jar with this. Let me get to this super chat from Bob. Right? Bob says it was hard to come to New York and build a team like this in 5 years. 4 out of 5 years playoffs. Sad part is the new head coach has to be able to work with current staff that he didn't select. Fingers crossed, go New York, go New York. Or Bob, appreciate the super chat. Really do. Shout out to Bob. Thank you for all the support. But yeah, look, all Thibs did is win. Right? All Thibs did is win. So on one hand, I understand people upset today, and I see why everyone thinks the emotions will come back that say like the Knicks are a terrible organization. Like this is just typical Knicks. Why would they do this? James Dolan got his hands in a cookie jar. Why would James Dolan do this? But let me tell you guys something, right? Poverty Knicks. I see it in the chat. Poverty Knicks, typical Knicks. You guys aren't watching, guys. You guys aren't watching. You guys aren't watching. What? First and foremost, Leon Rose has done enough to this point for us to trust him. The fact that the New York Knicks are getting hate today, the fact that the New York Knicks are getting, some negativity thrown their way is wild to me. Look at Leon Rose's resume since he got here. That's a guy who I'm putting my trust in. That's a guy who I trust. That's a guy who I will trust with the next coaching hire decision. I have full trust that Leon Rose knows what the heck he's doing. Right? And if you're telling me Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau are boys, are tight, are extremely close, for Leon Rose to make this decision, and Sham said that Leon Rose made this decision face to face, telling Tom Thibodeau to his face, like a man, I wish Leon Rose would speak, by the way. Hopefully this will get him to speak. That we are no longer having you as a head coach. I think Leon Rose already has in his mind who he wants to hire. They have to. They have to. They have to. They didn't want to wait. They didn't want to wait. The NBA moves so fast. So fast. If you wait just a day, if you wait just 2 days, you will lose your candidate in a blink. So if Leon Rose, let's say he likes Johnny Bryant. Let's say he just saw the news that Johnny Bryant is the finalist to become the Phoenix Suns head coach. Maybe he got back on the seat and he's like, I like Johnny, man. Maybe he said that. I was like, yo, we got to make a switch. And when you compile all of that with the exit interviews, I want to make a point that the exit interviews, it was, like I said, I'll put it back on the screen. Top players on the roster were called into meetings that James Dolan was also present at. Top players on the roster. Who are the top players on our roster? Who are the top players on our roster? Jaylen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, Anunoby, Hart, Mikal. So I'm sure they got everyone's input, right? They didn't just get one person's input. They got everyone's input, and they were like, we were winning just based solely on talent alone. Like, that's how far we got in these conferences. We were winning just based solely on talent, right? But we think we can hit another level with another mind in there, another offensive mind, another coach in there, another voice. Things got stale a little bit. Remember Towns and Thibs, rocky road in Minnesota. Then Towns gets traded to New York. He's saying all positive things. Of course. Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't want to be on anyone's bad foot. He's saying Tom Thibodeau has changed. He's adapted. But actions speak louder than words. And what we've seen all year is a coach that really hasn't. So maybe Towns was like, look, man, I really think, look, Towns has no kid coming. I mean, defensively, he was terrible. He was terrible. Maybe Mikal. Look, man, I don't want to overlook Mikal. I don't. Because this is a summer in where the New York Knicks have an extension. Mikal Bridges is extension eligible. Right? They traded 5 first-round picks for Mikal. Mikal Bridges and Tom Thibodeau, in my opinion, from the outside looking in, I don't think they got along. Mikal just never seemed like he was happy, right? Am I crazy? Mikal Bridges just never seemed like he was happy to be here. He just never, like, I don't know. He had that look in his face like he wasn't engaged. And ever since those comments where he said, as soon as you make those comments in public, that's it. Like, Mikal Bridges, as soon as he says that, I think we should give the bench guys a little bit more time. Mikal Bridges wasn't speaking for himself, leading the league in minutes per game. Of course, he's speaking for the voice. He's speaking for the guys that don't have a voice. He's speaking for a Shamit. He's speaking for a Huck Porty. He's speaking for a Daddy. He was speaking for everyone else, but nobody really wanted to speak up. Mikal Bridges came in here and was like, look, man, what do I have to? You traded 5 first-round picks for me. I'm going to speak a heck up. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to speak up. And ever since that point, you knew there was some rocky road. And then Josh Hart, Thibs got into it. Look, Josh Hart said good things about Tom Thibodeau on Twitter. Josh Hart had a career season despite the poor series against the Indiana Pacers with Tom Thibodeau. Like, again, a lot of people have career seasons with Tom Thibodeau. But if you would have brought Tom Thibodeau back, knowing that you have an extension coming up with Mikal Bridges, knowing that Mikal Bridges and Tom Thibodeau don't really get along. Again, I'm just speculating here. I don't know for sure. I'm just trying to connect the dots. Why would Mikal sign that extension knowing that Thibs is still your head coach when he doesn't like him? Right? Speculation. Again. So. Wow. Thibs is gone. BX J Rod says, ha ha ha, players run the team. You got to be careful, though. I say all that and say you got to be careful, right? You cannot allow the inmates to run the asylum, right? You cannot allow the inmates to run the asylum. I agree. Because once you lean too much into that, things can get shaky. You can get in trouble, right? But me personally, I just think that today needed to be done. And now we await to see who do the Knicks go to? Who do the Knicks hire? What direction do they go to? Do they go rookie? Do they go Mike Malone? Jay Wright? Eric Spoelstra? Do they try to get him, which I doubt? Who is the guy? Is it someone on the bench already? I doubt. Who's the guy that this Knicks front office goes to? But one thing is for sure is I trust Leon Rose. So it says Mike Malone. Dan Hurley. It would be interesting, but he would be a rookie coach in this league. And we all know how, sometimes college coaches don't really work out in the NBA. And like I said, this next hire is going to be so important for this franchise. So important for Leon Rose. So important. And this is just the beginning of a summer. For certain. Look, I said a lot of great things about Tom Thibodeau. Again, hell of a coach. Wish him nothing but success. Change the culture, man. We wouldn't be here without Tom Thibodeau, guys. Like, as I know most of you don't like Tom Thibodeau, but we would not be in this position without Tom Thibodeau. So I just want to give him some love, man. Some flowers, honestly. But once again, appreciate you guys in the YouTube. Smash the like button. We're just getting started over here, guys. Tom Thibodeau is no longer the coach. Tom Thibodeau is no longer the coach. When do I think the Knicks will hire a coach? What coach would be an upgrade? Somebody said Jess Van Gundy. Miguel says, I appreciate what he did for us, but it was time to move on. Yeah, sometimes things get stale. Things get stale. Nostalgia says Johnny Bryant and Jay Wright. NBA is way different ball game than college ball from DJ Wonder in the chat. Crimes dad, just Rover. Nostalgic says Johnny Bryant. Everyone, Johnny Bryant's the new hot name, right? Johnny Bryant's the new hot name. Bob says should just not extend Thibs and kept Bryant. Move Thibs to the front office and move up Bryant. Should have done it before the season. The rookies will show up. Bob, I think the Knicks wanted to do that, but I think Tom Thibodeau has done so much for this organization. You had to reward him with a contract extension. You couldn't have him be a lame duck coach going into year one. I think, James Dolan, it makes money. James Dolan is rich, makes a ton of money. $30 million is a drop in a bucket for James Dolan. I just think everything Tom Thibodeau did for this franchise, you rewarded him with that extension. Now, go enjoy the money. Right? Enjoy the money wherever you go. But this Jazz says in the chat, Thibs reached his ceiling. Yep. Nostalgia says hot Knicks summer. Oh, man. Hot Knicks summer. Josh Gilver says, facts, Tom Thibodeau is a coach who took us out of the trenches. No ill feelings towards him at all, and honestly wish him nothing but the best. Yeah. That's it. No ill feelings. It was time, though, guys. It was time. You guys know I was on post games. I hopped on the train. Midway through the season, I wasn't on the train. I hopped on the train. Right? It's just too many scenarios that were starting to pile up as my camera zooms in again. Too many scenarios that were starting to pile up and that were going against Tom Thibodeau's resume. He didn't. I mean, the night, again, I keep going back to that night, the back-to-back night where he played 7 guys off the bench, bro. Didn't give the rookies a chance. Didn't give anyone else a chance. This was a random night in, I think, January or February. A random night. Back-to-back. Knicks were gassed. Didn't have any legs. He played 7 guys. Beginning of the season, 7-man rotation. So I just thought it was a mixture of that. I just think that, but one thing is for certain, I think that this Knicks front office realized that it's going to be extremely hard to make moves. You are in the first apron. It's going to be hard to improve the bench. It is. You could get a piece or two, but unless you're trading for we'll talk about the trades later, but Giannis, a Durant, it's going to be hard. So you're going to need your rookies to show up. Daddy Hukporty. You're going to need those guys to show up next year. Kevin McCullough Jr. And I just think that the New York Knicks made a decision like, look, we can give Tom Thibodeau a bench. We can give him everything. We can give him a bench. But we just decide this, like, our final conclusion, is that he just won't play them. He's not going to play them. He's not. So here we are. Right? Oh, man. It's crazy. Extension didn't even kick in, guys. If you're just joining us, Tom Thibodeau is gone. Tom Thibodeau is no longer the New York Knicks head coach. A lot of Knicks fans have been waiting for this moment. Once again, gave him his flowers. And we were called crazy. We were called people that don't watch the game of basketball. We were called all sorts of names. We were called dumb. We were called stupid. And look, I'm not hanging on the rim. By no means. I'm not. We're not. But one thing is for certain is that the Knicks front office, they were seeing the same things that most fans were seeing, is that we reached our ceiling with this guy. We cannot go any further with Tom Thibodeau as a Knicks head coach. Any further. Remember, guys, I go back to the Indiana series. The game 2, critical game. Put game 1 aside. Disaster. Right? Put game 1 aside. Put it on the shelf. Game 2, the Karl Anthony Towns benching in the 4th, the going back to campaign and just not trying new stuff when you needed to expand the rotation until it was too late in game 3 when your backs were against the wall. You lose game 3, season's over. Season's over anyway. But you lose game 3, it's over. It's over. He didn't go to the bench until his back was against the wall. And right when he went to the bench, they showed that, look, we should have been playing this whole time. Maybe the Knicks front office look at this like, we think we had a bench to compete. We think we had the guys to play. It was the head coach that was holding us back. Knicks fans were told all along that we didn't have a bench. I was saying this all season long. How would we know we don't have a bench if we're not seeing Daddy, we're not seeing Hukporty, we're not seeing Kolek, we didn't see DeLon Wright, Shamet was in and out the rotation, for the most part. How would we know? Stop trying to gaslight us. And I'm not saying those guys are amazing players by no means. But look, what just happened today is, look, this Knicks coaching search is going to be vital, guys. You make the wrong move, it can set you back for years, right? Years. And I think right now, Shaman has Hart from Jib Bob. I like the move. I think right now you have to sit down. And first and foremost, an avenue, let me get to this. Something that a lot of people aren't talking about is, how does Jaylen Brunson feel? How does our captain feel? That's important. What does Jaylen Brunson think about this move? Again, people say the inmates run the asylum. You're listening to players. Well, if you listen to players, Jaylen Brunson loved Tom Thibodeau. Loved him. Again, that relationship is deep. He was running in the locker room as a little kid with Tom Thibodeau as a coach. So Jaylen Brunson and Tom Thibodeau, they have some years together. He's known Thibs since he was a little kid. How does Brunson feel? Is he happy? Is he upset? Because this is now back-to-back seasons where you've really shook it up. You traded Dante DiVincenzo, who was, as Jaylen Brunson said in his wedding, as a groomsman, gone. Now you fired Tom Thibodeau, who he has said nothing but positives about. Look, he could just be saying that in the media. By all means, he could have been one of the top players in those meetings to James Dolan and say, look, I don't think we can win with Tom Thibodeau. I don't. He could have very well been one of those players. But look, what I'm trying to get at is you don't really want to, ruffle. I'm sure Leon Rose really consulted with Brunson about this. But I'm just hoping that Jaylen Brunson's on board with this, because the last thing you want is that an unhappy Jaylen Brunson, right? That's the last thing you want. But sometimes you got to make business decisions. Like someone said in the chat, business is business, right? Business is business, from Jose in the chat. Oh, man. Let's go. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Smash the like button, subscribe, follow, all the good stuff. Scorpion, appreciate the follow. Look, crazy last few days as a New York Knicks fan. Crazy last few days as a Knicks fan. The highs, the lows, and you can say, typical Knicks, but I wouldn't view it as that. I wouldn't view it as that at all. I mean, this Knicks front office viewed this team as a championship team, and they thought Tom Thibodeau was holding them back. Guys, this team is super talented. It's one thing if we sucked. Like, it's one thing if we were like 10-72 and we sucked. But this team is super talented, man. Like, super talented. I just think if you get the right voice up in there, if you get the right coach up in there, you tinker with the bench, a coach that expands the rotation, a coach that plays 10, that's not afraid to go to Daddy A or, the rookies, and they have to show that they're improving and growing. I think if you get the perfect coach up in there, I think next year we can be back and even further. But you have to get the right guy. I do. And look, Thibs never maximized his roster to their full potential. And look, here we are. I'm wearing my Brunson jersey because, as I said earlier, I just hope Brunson's on board with this. I do, and I think he is. I think the Knicks are serious, like Steven says in the chat. Knicks are serious about winning a championship with this move. I like that Leon Rose is very aggressive, right? I like that he's being, like, he's not afraid anymore. Like, Leon Rose is not afraid anymore. When he first got here, we were like, oh, he was patient with his trades. Did he have some bad signings? Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker. Yeah, but he quickly deviated. I mean, and the moves that he has made has 80% of them have worked out. A high percentage. Leon 100 million% checked with Brunson first before getting rid of Thibs. So I trust Leon Rose. I do. Everything that he's, not everything, but most of the moves that he has made, they've worked out. So Sham Charania was on the Don Hahn and Rosenberg show, and he said that the Knicks, from Sham Charania, he said Leon Rose told Tom Thibodeau face-to-face that he was relieving him of his duties. Right? That's one. Number two, he said they felt like they hit their ceiling with Tom Thibodeau. So, Leon Rose, if Leon Rose felt that, and if us Knicks fans felt that, and he also said that he thinks Leon Rose has someone in mind, but they're going to go through in these next couple of days who their candidate in. I think they have someone in mind. I think that he knows who he wants. I think that that's why this happened so quickly. Right? Guys, we lost Saturday. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Things move fast in the NBA. Draft is in a few weeks, guys. Things move so fast. Free agency, July 1st. Less than a month. I think he knows who he wants. I think he has pinpointed who he wants. They'll go through their interviews. But, you know, I'm trying to refresh the timeline and see if we have any more news regarding, you know, candidates. Let me know if you guys are hearing anything. But like I said, Jay Wright could be, but I doubt it. You have Mike Malone. Everyone's going to point to him because he has Knicks ties. You have Johnny Bryant, who's the next hot name coming up, who has been in our organization, who has really, when Johnny Bryant was a huge loss for us, I think. You know, they made Rick Brunson head assistant, and Johnny Bryant was huge, man. Johnny Bryant was a huge loss for us. So you have him. Is it someone that we're not talking about, though? Is it someone that we're not talking about? Long Island says, with the new head coach coming in, what would happen to the staff like Rick Brunson? I think Rick Brunson's not going anywhere. Malone, Bryant, Chris Quinn, Sam Cassell are names that are being thrown out there. Obviously you have Spoelstra, but he's on a contract. Tyronn Lue, but he just signed an extension. Is it someone that's currently coaching? So, Buzzer Beater, what up? Joe Skillful says Johnny Bryant is the way to go. Got a lot of comments to catch up on. I appreciate every single one of you guys in here. Yuri says this isn't the typical Knicks. This is a win now move from Yuri. Steven says the Knicks are serious about winning a championship with this move. Yuri says Johnny Bryant. Everyone wants Johnny. Jeff Van Gundy. Would you bring Jeff Van Gundy back? Jay Wright? Dan Hurley? Nah. Dan Hurley's interesting. Remember, Dan Hurley was about to get that Laker job. Right? Was the next hot college head coach. And he stayed at UConn. El Figgy. What's going on, El Figgy? Leon knows what he's doing. Trust. El Figgy, Tom Thibodeau is no longer the New York Knicks head coach. I know you've been waiting for this day. We have been waiting for this day. But again, I want to be extremely respectful. I'm not trying to, hang on the rim here. I want to be extremely respectful. and give Tom Thibodeau his flowers, and I have, right? I have. But they recognize that this coach cannot take us to the promised land. And I'm excited. Like, I'm actually like, now I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's go. Like, come on. Maybe this is what we need. Like, let's go. Come on. I'm really excited to see who this next Knicks. Well, I'll say that 5 times. Next Knicks head coaches. And I don't know. Something's really telling me, like, again, the Johnny Bryant news came out yesterday that he was a finalist for the Suns job. And today, like 24 hours later, Tom Thibodeau's gone. So that's one where you can connect the dots. Or look, a lot of people would say that it would be extremely risky to bring in a rookie head coach coaching this squad with no experience whatsoever, because what you need is a veteran head coach who's been there, done that, and, you know, knows the league, knows the NBA, which I think is, you know, a good argument to make, because a lot of people, if you fire Tom Thibodeau, who's been in the league for many years, many years, and you bring in a rookie head coach, a lot of people are going to look at that like, boy, you must really like this guy. You must really like this guy. So be careful who the next hire is, but I don't know. Yuri says this needed to be done. Oh, man, El Figgy said it's bittersweet. Johnny and Hurley. Andy Gaming says, what are the chances of Hart or Mitch getting traded this offseason, knowing that they will unlock more defense? Loud and clear. What's going on, Loud and clear? Please, God, no Mike Malone. Yeah, I don't know. Like, when Mike Malone got fired in Denver, he quickly became one of the candidates that Knicks fans were pointing at. Look, Mike Malone, bring him in here. Championship head coach. But same tendencies as Thibs. Same tendencies as Tom Thibodeau. So, I don't know. At first, I liked Mike Malone. But, you know, the more I thought about it, I'm like, I don't know if that's the guy. He will be a new voice, right? But remember, I mean, in Denver, a lot of people wanted Mike Malone fired before they won the NBA championship. And then they finally got over the hump. They finally won. I mean, it helps that they have the best player in the NBA. Tremendously. It helps. But, you know, he'll be on the list, though. Soap says Johnny Bryant. Make Timothy Chalamet the head coach. Steve Nash. I heard Jason Kidd. I don't know why I did the GJ air horn. Oh, wow. I mean, this is crazy. You know, look, guys. I think this was coming. Bob with another super chat. Appreciate you, Bob. Royal Ivy, next head coach for me. New coach with young talent. Ivy coach international and is on the Rockets coaching staff. Go New York, go New York, go. Royal Ivy, good, intriguing name. Royal Ivy could be a candidate. Yeah, if you guys have candidates, throw them at me. Budenholzer. I don't know. I kind of don't want to go veteran to veteran. I kind of don't want to do that personally. I kind of want to go Thibodeau to a young, new, fresh, young mind. That's where I kind of want to go. Like, I feel like if you're going veteran to veteran, yeah, it's a new voice, but I don't know. I kind of want to try something different, right? What's your opinion of them hiring Patrick Ewing? I like Patrick in his role. He's around the team a lot. Obviously, he coached at Georgetown. It didn't really work over there. But I like Patrick going in his role currently. Love Patrick. I just, the former player route. I don't know. Loud and Clear says Steve Nash is our favorite captain's favorite player. Just saying. El Figure says first coach Jay Wright, second Johnny Bryant, third Mark Jackson. See, if you go Mark Jackson, a lot of people would say, why Mark Jackson? Right? In my opinion, because... Hold on, give me a second. Because he was the guy who got fired before the Warriors hired Steve Kerr. So if you're following that, playbook, then I don't know. I don't think they go that route. I don't think they go that route. It may be someone we're not talking about. It may be someone we're talking about. Avery Johnson, some from Ivor in the chat. Mike Malone, Mike Brown. Yeah, they fired him. Andrew, they fired him. If you're just joining us, Tom Thibodeau is no longer the New York Knicks head coach. He's gone. He's gone. And I'm trying to see if I can play the Shams audio. So let me see. Alrighty. Sham Charania has been busy. Super busy. See if we can get Shams audio on here. Yeah. So here's Shams regarding Thibodeau. Wait. You guys are not hearing that. Excuse me.
But every player on this Knicks roster, it felt like overperformed. You saw Jaylen Brunson become an All-NBA All-Star guard. Karl-Anthony Towns, an All-NBA performer as well. A lot of Knicks players. Josh Hart as well, who tweeted out something positive about Tom Thibodeau. They all had great years under him, but clearly the Knicks did not feel like Tom Thibodeau was going to be the coach to take them over the top. Yeah, a lot of people. My phone is blowing up right now with executives, everyone around the league, just stunned. But
everyone around the league is just stunned. Stunned. Look, when you fire a coach that took you to the Eastern Conference Finals, and that tells me something really was going on in that locker room, guys. I don't want people to overlook that. I think there was a lot of players in that locker room that did not like Tom Thibodeau, and probably when he expanded the rotation, they were probably hanging on the rim like, bro, you see? You see what happens? I've been telling you to do this for forever. And you're just doing it. I'm trying to see if I can get some. All right, here's Shams again.
Not sure yet which names are going to be on that list, but clearly it's going to be someone that has potential pedigree, championship-wise, someone that has been able to take a team over the top. Their singular goal, I'm told.
Let me rewind that back a little bit.
Not sure yet which names are going to be on that list, but clearly it's going to be someone that has potential pedigree, championship-wise, someone that has been able to take a team over the top. Their singular goal, I'm told, is how can we make the best hire to win a championship? That's all that they're thinking about. That's all James Dolan, Leon Rose are thinking about, is trying to go out and win a championship. They believed thoroughly this year that they had a team ready to win a championship. They were disappointed that they lost in the conference finals. I think that disappointment had a lot to do with the eventual firing of Tom Thibodeau today. But this is a Knicks organization.
All right, so in the beginning of that clip, Sham Charania said that they are looking for someone who has experience and that has taken the team over the top. That sounds like a coach that's been there, done that, and that has won a championship before. And appreciate the rose. Look, it's a very good nugget from Shams there. And he also says that they felt like this team should have beat the Pacers. We can all say, yeah, we beat the Celtics, but then you lose back-to-back years to the Indiana Pacers and you get out-coached again. They felt like this roster matched up well to Indiana, and they just pinpointed the problem. Now, a lot of trades can happen. They can trade Karl-Anthony Towns, which I don't think they'll do. They can trade Mikal Bridges, which I don't think they could do. They would do, excuse me. But they pinpointed that Tom Thibodeau was the problem, right? So look, a month from now, I don't know, Giannis could be on this team a month from now. Cat could be gone. And they pinpointed that Cat's defense was a problem a month from now. Like, I don't know. Like, this is just the beginning of a crazy summer, I think, that is just starting. Where do they go from here, right? First, you got to figure out which is the next coach of your organization. Who's the next coach? Somebody said the problem is the president of the team. I doubt it. So Shan's with some intel there. You know, they think that a championship level coach would be vital for this team. So if you're going that route, then Mike Malone jumps up to the list, right? If you're going that route, if you believe that. Oh, man. Somebody said, what coach do you want the Knicks to get? Yeah, I've been asked that a couple of times today, ever since the Thibs firing, because you know when Thibs gets fired, all your Knicks fans hit you up, and they're like, oh, yo, you see this? You see this? And again, those of you just joining, I made the Tom Thibodeau breaking news graphic yesterday, the one I posted on the Instagram and on Twitter yesterday, just in case this was going to happen. And 24 hours later, it happened. Who do I want the next Knicks head coach to be? Man, oh man. I say I can go two ways here. Current head coaches on teams or free agent head coaches. If I would say current head coaches on teams, I see what's shaking in Miami. A lot of people soured on Eric Spoelstra to close the season. A lot of people didn't like him. I know he just signed a major extension, and you got to work some magic with Pat Riley. But I would say we'll see what's shaking in Miami. Make the call. Okay, he's not available. We move on. Then I would call Tyronn Lue in L.A. You happy there? You happy in L.A., Tyronn? It's a team that's underperformed. Kawhi's always hurt. They gave you an extension, but what's up? We're available. Let's see if we can work something out. No, we can't? All right, let's move on. Then I would move on to the free agents. I would interview a lot of people. And my first interview would be Johnny Bryant. I would be on the phone. I probably would have called Johnny Bryant already. I probably would have gotten in touch with his agent. I probably would have said, whoa, hold up on that Phoenix job. Hold up. Time out. Tom Thibodeau's gone. We got a head coach opening up. We believe in you. You've been here. You know that we wanted you on the staff. Cleveland offered you to do that job. You were with your boy Donovan Mitchell. Let's interview Johnny Bryant. then I would start to make my rounds around the NBA. Like, this team needs an offensive coordinator. This team needs an offensive genius. This team needs somebody who knows what the heck they're doing on the offensive side of the ball. That's what this team needs. Because look at the starting lineup currently. I mean, it's a great starting five. It's a great starting five. The talent is there. A couple of tweaks here and there. I think Thibodeau didn't maximize everyone up to their full potential. I would make my rounds around the league. I mean, you see what Memphis did. It's these new young coaches that no one is talking about that are getting head coaching jobs, right? Yes, you have your veterans. You still have Mike Malone out there. You still have Kenny Atkinson got his job in Cleveland, turned that franchise around, but they choked in the playoffs. So you have to be very careful. Like, you have to be very strategic about, somebody said, what about Mark Jackson? About who else wants this job? Like, who comes in? Mike Brown? I don't know if I go that route. I don't know. I don't know if I go a route that I go a head coaching route that didn't really have success around the league. I don't know if I go that route. So we're here. Dan Hurley. I've heard Dan Hurley a lot. Then I would go to the college guys. I would go to a Jay Wright. I would go to a Dan Hurley. This has to be a very strategic, thought out process. I see the Mark Jackson calls, but when it's all said and done, I would ask the big dogs on the team. I would get the input of Jaylen Brunson. I would get the input of Karl-Anthony Towns. I would get the input of the players on the team that I think that are going to be long-term for our success. I would see what they're thinking. But when it's all said and done, the decision is going to lie on Leon Rose. And I think I trust him. I believe that he will make the right decision. And we just have to wait and see who that player is. El Figgy says, I bet Leon has a plan in place. So I hope that answered your question. Really thought out answer. I hope that answered your question. But yeah, always Jay says old school coaches are disappearing. Right? There is some truth to that. Old school coaches are disappearing. Mike says, I disagree. You can't let the inmates run the asylum. I'm not saying you automatically call Jaylen Brunson and he says, I want this person, hire him, and then you automatically hire him. I'm not saying that. Just get their input, see what they're saying. Because at the end of the day, Jaylen Brunson has done a lot for this franchise. He took a pay cut. He dug into his pockets and took a pay cut for this franchise. Right? Just so you can build a team around him. So I have to think that you're going to call Jaylen Brunson and see what's going on. Like, what you thinking? And I have to think Brunson was on board with this firing. I have to. There's a part of me who thinks Brunson was just putting on. Look, he loves Thibs, but there's a part of you can't say what good does it do to say negative things about Thibs in the media? It doesn't do any good. But again, guys, as soon as the season ended, the Athletic article dropped where it said people go to PJ Tucker for advice. He's the guy in the locker room. So, Yuri says, check the Discord. Let's see. What does this say? This is from Knicks feed in the Discord. This is Steve Popper on Johnny Bryant running with Phoenix. He left the Knicks before this season to serve as associate head coach in Cleveland under Kenny Atkinson and as and is a finalist for the Phoenix Suns job, although a source indicated that Jordan Ott is likely to land the job. So if Jordan Ott is going to land that Phoenix job, that leaves Johnny Bryant still available, right? I like Bryant. Smiling Rasco says, you think Brunson got a call before the firing? Of course. I would have to believe. Just Living says, oh, I forgot a super chat in here. My bad, Just Living. Just Living with a super chat. Appreciate you, Just Living. Get Giannis and bring Dan Hurley now. Okay, we're what? An hour 10 into the show? So Tom Thibodeau's gone. I was going to talk about this stuff tonight, guys. I was going to come on live and talk about the Giannis rumors. What is the feeling with you guys surrounding Giannis? What is the feeling? I want to gauge the fan base. In order to get Giannis, you have to trade Karl-Anthony Towns. And you're essentially putting a nuke again to a starting five that got you far in the playoffs. But yes, you are getting Giannis. What is the sense in Giannis? Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think the only way Giannis comes to the Knicks is if he tells the Milwaukee Bucks, I want to be a New York Knick. And the Milwaukee Bucks have no leverage and they have to trade Giannis to the Knicks. That's the only way I think the New York Knicks are getting Giannis. Just Rover says, I think Johnny already got the phone call from Leon. Loud and clear, we don't have enough for Giannis because we have too much for Mikal. Giannis and JB don't work. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a great player. Great player. Right? But I just don't think it's going to work. I don't like, I would love Giannis. Like, don't get me wrong, I would love him. He's a great player. But I just don't think in today's new NBA where continuity is king and depth is king, as you see in the NBA Finals. Now, Emmanuel says opportunity to grab Giannis, got to take it. Yeah, if Giannis says I want to be a Knick, you got to look into that. You got to. I mean, you'd be crazy not to make that call. But I think this team is close, guys. I think if you just another year of JB and Cat, I wouldn't really touch that. I wouldn't touch that. I love what we saw in round one. Round two was, round one got a little dicey. Round two against the Celtics, Cat had some good moments against the Pacers, Cat and Brunson. I mean, I love what we saw in year one. And I just think we need a coach to really maximize both of them and build off of them. Build off of JB and Cat and OG. Now, I saw Kevin Durant rumors floating on my timeline. And what funny way I saw Karl-Anthony Towns for Kevin Durant rumors. It matches up. I mean, you put Karl-Anthony Towns on the Phoenix Suns. He plays with Devin Booker again. Kevin Durant comes to New York. To me, that's just like, that trade will make all the sense for Phoenix. I think that's the best they'll get is Karl-Anthony Towns. But Phoenix can't really aggregate salaries because they're in the second apron. But if you're the Knicks, do you look in the East next season and say Durant is the final piece to bring us over the top? Do you say Kevin Durant is the final piece to pair with Jaylen Brunson because the East is going to be weak? Are you trading a 29-year-old for what, a 37-year-old? Are you doing that? Cat's not even 30 yet. And he's super talented and under contract for many years. KD's about to be 40. No, he's a great player. But I think the Knicks are quote unquote done with their major trades. And I think the next domino to fall is the Mikal Bridges extension. And I want to keep going back to the Mikal Bridges extension. Somebody says maybe KD 5 years ago, but not now. DJ Elon says KD is done. I don't want Kevin Durant. You couldn't find time for PJ Tucker? Nope. Loud and Clear says KD can kick rocks, brother. No KD. He won a chip with a 73-win team. Just Rover says hell no. No KD from Yvette in the chat. What's going on, Yvette? Hope all is well. Mike Saunders says, I would trade Bridges for some bench depth and draft picks and make Deuce the starter. We don't need drastic changes. Mike, this is where I get to Mikal Bridges. I truly do think Mikal Bridges earned his extension today. I think this Knicks front office chose between Mikal or Thibs. I know that sounds crazy, right? But hear me out. Again, Mikal and Thibs seemed like they didn't get along throughout the season. Mikal just looked unhappy at times, just looked out of it, checked out, right? He shot terrible from 3 in the Pacers series. Defensively, I think he was getting cooked by Hallie. Fighting over the screen, just not the same. I think this Knicks front office, now their focus has to be the extension for Mikal Bridges. Do you sign him to the extension or do you use him as a trade piece? I think they get that done. I think Mikal Bridges stays. I think you sign him to the extension. Because at the end of the day, no matter what happens, Mikal Bridges is always going to have the 5 first-round picks surrounded him. Like, every time we talk about Mikal, every time Mikal Bridges has a bad game, what do we say? You traded 5 first-round picks for this guy. Every single time. And when he has a good game, what did I say? Trade him another pick. Trade him another pick. I think we have to find a middle ground with that. I think time is going to heal that. Like, I want to think of Mikal and not think about the picks. But Mikal is talented, guys. He is. He's a very talented player. You traded a lot for him, man. It's either you extend him or you use him for something else. But again, how many times are you going to shake it up, right? How many times are you going to make a major trade? I don't think. It depends what's out there, right? I don't think that this Knicks front office is going to look. I could be wrong, man. Shams said that. The Shams audio said that this Knicks team is going to make some changes. They're going to be aggressive. Like, I could be wrong. I'm just a guy with a mic. I'm just telling it how I see it. And I think today, in a quiet room, I think Mikal's smiling. Because I think he didn't like Tom Thibodeau and those comments that he made. And remember, after those comments, you guys remember Thibs' reaction to that. Boy, oh boy, he was firing back. He was defending himself like no end. He was upset. And him and Mikal squashed it out. But I truly do think Mikal and Thibs did not get along. So I say all that to say that now you get a new coach in here. You get Mikal back on, the happy train, because he just looked at times like checked out. But let's be honest, he is a tradable contract. He is. I've seen him compared. I've seen him traded for him for Trey Murphy in New Orleans. Better offensive player, bigger, taller. But again, you have to be very strategic about your next move. And it starts with the head coach. So, yeah, somebody said, Glorita says, I don't think he really wants to be here. And it was a question that, what's his name? James Edward, really respected columnist for, I think, The Athletic, if I'm not mistaken. Let me get this right. Yeah, James Edward III, senior writer for The Athletic. He came out with an an article and said, does Mikal Bridges even want to be here? Right? So you got to figure that out. But I think that's the next domino. The extension. I think. But one thing is for sure is that it was a hell of a season. We're super talented. Now we're getting a new coach with some new pieces off the bench or in the starting lineup. Maybe you try a Mitchell Robinson in the starting lineup. But again, I bring up Mitchell Robinson, guys. Well, let me get to your comments before I keep shuffling all over the place. Sorry. Mike says Knicks' priority is Brunson, not Bridges. I think Leon Rose saw Thibs' flaws, and he said he has to go. El Figgy says it's the same thing with Josh Hart. I love/hate relationship with him. He makes 2 boneheaded mistakes and then does something spectacular, and I want to forgive and forget. Yes, exactly. Loud and Clear says Trey Murphy, the truth. That would be dope. Bridges for Jaden Daniels and Devo. Smart Kid says Mikal played too many minutes. Hard to be super productive playing that much. Yeah, that's why he complained. Bridges never seemed like he wanted to be here, Mike. Yeah. Again, it is an extreme amount of pressure when you get traded for 5 first-round picks. The arrow is on you, man. The spotlight is on you. You have a bad game, people are going to be like, bro, this is what we traded 5 first-round picks for? This is what we did? This is what we got for 5 first-round picks? And look, Mikal Bridges did some great things, man. Great things. Like, I don't want to overlook the Boston series, the back-to-back great defensive plays from Mikal Bridges, man. When he's locked in, he's good. He's locked in and engaged. It's just at times we saw a checked-out version of Mikal Bridges, just a non-engaged Mikal Bridges, a not happy, not playing freely. And even Jaylen Brunson alluded to that many times when he said Mikal Bridges is at his best when he's not thinking. Don't think, just play. And I just think him and, I could be wrong, I just think him and Thibs never got along. And now Thibs is gone. Yeah, Alan Hahn alluded to Mikal not coming back. It's the extension. It's the extension. Bridges is Iron Man. Yeah, Bridges is Iron Man. He was hella inconsistent throughout the season too. Yeah, look, it's a new situation, new environment, right, for Bridges. But all in all, I mean, he had some great playoff moments, guys. He did. Right? I don't want to overlook that. So you got to get the Bridges extension done. You got to figure that out. Obviously, we have time to talk about that. But Mitchell Robinson, you got to figure out what you're going to do with Mitch now. Because his value, I personally think, is not going to be any higher than what it is today. Mitchell Robinson's value is not going to be any higher than what it is today. So centers are, you know, wings and centers. A bunch of teams in this league, they just watch Mitchell Robinson on a national stage dominate. You know teams are going to be calling for him. So you have to decide as an organization, do we want to continue to keep Mitchell Robinson, or do we risk when his value's at the height of the market where we can get some stuff for him, like 2 pieces maybe, or pair him with someone and get like a real legit piece in here and maybe move an Ariel Hukporti in the rotation? Or do we want to continue to lean on Mitchell Robinson and hope, because he was healthy. Let's say he was healthy now. Do we want to hope that he stays healthy for another year and take that chance, because you saw just how dominant Mitchell Robinson is? Mitch is too special. I personally think, yes. I personally think Mitch is special. Mitch is special. He really opened my eyes during these playoffs. Mitchell Robinson really opened my eyes during these playoffs. So I would like to see that starting alongside Karl Anthony Towns and having maybe, I don't know, just having a Hart off the bench, or maybe you find another piece for you flip Hart for someone else, flip Hart and somebody else for somebody else off the bench, and you sign someone like an Al Horford off the bench, and we just go from there. So Loud and Clear says Mitch is our longest tenured Knick. Let's show him the respect he deserves. Keep the man in New York. Yeah, Loud and Clear. I want to keep Mitch. I'm just saying these are the conversations that I'm sure they're having behind closed doors. Right? Maybe they found a restriction like HRM. What's going on? It says 20 to 25 minutes a game for Mitchell Robinson, no more. Right? And maybe they found a limit. He's gonna have all summer to get his stamina up, get healthy, and maybe be our starting center next year alongside Cat. Or if the Knicks decide to trade Cat. But again, I'm on the board with kind of just keeping the nucleus and building around them and getting the new head coach and seeing what the new head coach is going to do with this unit. Because, guys, hasn't it been too many changes? So you're going to hire a new head coach, and then you're going to trade Karl-Anthony Towns for another piece, or Mikal Bridges for another piece. That's a lot of changes, man. That's a lot of changes. So if this front office said that we think that this nucleus, this team should have beat the Indiana Pacers, that gives you a little bit of a glimpse into the future. I just thought about that. Like, it's coming out recently that they thought that this team should have got to the NBA Finals and should have beat the Indiana Pacers. So they fired Thibs. Maybe that was their major change. And then they just changed the bench. Sign a guy here or there. Make a savvy move. And let's rock it again. Let's see what a new coach comes up in here with a different offensive philosophy can do with this squad. Can do with a Karl-Anthony Towns, Jaylen Brunson. Because let's be honest, Karl-Anthony Towns and Jaylen Brunson, the duo was, at times it was cat, then Brunson. They never really jived well. And again, they got thrown together before training camp. So bring an offensive genius in here. And let's rock. Appreciate you guys in here, man. Subscribe, like, follow, all the good stuff. Tom Thibodeau is no longer the New York Knicks head coach. Big splash, man. Big splash. Crazy time to be a Knicks fan right now currently. Oh, man. Hit some of your comments. How about that? Loud and Clear says we need the big Ragu back. We need the bench depth. That's it. I see all of you in here. Appreciate every single one of you guys in here. Thank you for giving me your time on this Tuesday evening. Most coming home from work, 7 p.m. 7 p.m., man. And we're talking about Tom Thibodeau being fired 3 days after the Knicks season is done. El Figgy says, start Mitch and let Cat fall back to the 4. It took Minnie a long time to figure out that Cat is a 4, but when they brought in Rudy, they made the Western Conference Finals. This solves 2 problems. Yep. I agree. Nostalgic says, great show. Appreciate that, Nostalgic. Thanks for the support, guys. Thanks for the support, man. Really appreciate it. Joe Skillford says, run it back for the most part. Felix, peace out, man. Hope all is well. Thanks for coming in here and rocking with us. Try to bring back Devo if you can. Y'all good with Mike D'Antoni then? He knows offense. Mike D'Antoni again? I don't know about that. No. That's not going to move a lot of Knicks fans if you bring in Mike D'Antoni again. For sure. That's not going to move Knicks fans. Devo's interesting because the Memphis Grizzlies, The Minnesota Timberwolves want Kevin Durant. I don't know why I said his name like that. Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant. And if you get a third team involved, maybe give us back Devo. I don't know, but you start to look, Thibs is gone, and you start to look back at, all the bench pieces that were here. I mean, you had Obi Toppin, you had, Quentin Grimes, who, is now flourishing, and he actually gave Tom Thibodeau his flowers for making the player that he is today. And, you traded Obi Toppin for 2 second-round picks. You start looking back at the different bench lineups, and you really start to think, what if? Like even when Quickly was here, he just never grasped the different lineups with Quickly, and he never, I don't know, I don't want to fall back into that, but they recognized the problem, and the problem was the head coach. And they think a new voice, a new system will do wonders for this team. Because let's face it, guy, he was here for 5 years, right? 6 years? 6 years or 5 years for Thibs? 2020, right? 5 years. Or 2019 he was hired. Five years. Things get stale, Things get stale after a while, and it sucks. But, he had 5 years with Chicago. He had 3 years with the Timberwolves. He had 5 years with the Knicks. He was the coach of the year in 2021, right? Won an NBA championship as an assistant head coach in 2008 with the Celtics. And I just wish Tom Thibodeau nothing but the best. Again, shout out to you, Thibs. You changed the culture. You came in here and honestly, man, you worked your ass off. This guy does nothing but watch film. He doesn't have a wife. All his life is basketball. And it just is unfortunate that we're at this point, but that's the life of the NBA, man. I'm sure he'll be fine with the millions of dollars coming his way. But here we are, coachless. And guys, they still owe him $30 million. I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll be fine. But Tom Thibodeau is one of those guys who he only cares about coaching. So I mean, he'll be good. He'll land a good job. But what was I going to say? Lost my train of thought. Vertify says, I think we have to think of making 2 units. Maybe a Chua would be better. I'm trying to, refresh the timeline to see. All right, what are the candidates? Let me put it up in the chat. Let me put a poll in the chat, in the YouTube chat. Who do you want as the next Knicks coach? Let me ask you guys. Johnny Bryant, Dan Hurley, Mike Malone, let me ask the chat. Somebody said Billy Donovan, Mike Malone, Mike Brown, Rick Pitino. Let me add. So I got Johnny Bryant, Dan Hurley, Mike Malone. I see a lot of Mark Jackson. Isaiah, what's up? Let me put a Nick in there. I'll put Mark Jackson. Even though I don't think the Knicks go this way. I don't think this Knicks front office goes this direction. Who do you want as the next Knicks head coach? Yeah, I'll add Mark Jackson. So I got Johnny Bryant, Dan Hurley, Mike Malone, Mark Jackson. Somebody said Doc Rivers. What? Doc Rivers. Tyler, what's going on, Tyler? Bold move from Leon here. Can't hate on a man for trying to make this team great. Only time will tell. Yes, Tyler. Bold move. And we just have to trust Leon Rose. I mean, he's done nothing but, warrant our trust in him. And hopefully, he makes the right decision. But this is going to be the move that hopefully bring us to the promised land. Because if it doesn't, I mean, it'll be on him. It'll be on him. Jay Wright. I can only add 4. Why does YouTube only allow me to 4? All right, let me put Jay Wright. Sign Wright and Shamit. I like Shamit, man. Shamit, I've become a really big fan of Landry Shamit, part of the Landry Shamit fan club. All right, so we got the poll going. Who do you want as the next Knicks head coach? I probably misspelled Johnny Bryant's name, by the way. Is that how you spell Johnny Bryant? Is that how you spell Johnny? I know he spells it wrong or differently. Not wrong, excuse me. Oh, it's I-E. All right, it's I-E instead of, I spelled it wrong. All right, let's get that going first. It's Johnny Bryant, I-E. So who do you want as the next head coach? Johnny Bryant, Dan Hurley, Mike Malone, Jay Wright. Jay Wright's in the chat. Mark Jackson would be perfect, but he's not coming back. Yeah, I don't think Mark Jackson's coming back. Tyler says if you take a look at his interviews from his first head coach search, he interviewed some pretty solid young coaches who got jobs elsewhere. Yeah, Tyler, I brought that up too. Look, it could be someone we're not talking about. If you look around the league, a lot of teams are hiring these young coaches within their system that, are just really savvy and really smart. So it's those guys who you have to watch out for that we're not talking about. Look, these are the big names. Johnny Bryant, if you want to call him a big name, Dan Hurley, Mike Malone, Jay Wright. It could very well be someone else that we're not talking about. Very well be someone else that we're not talking about. Lloyd Pierce. Yeah, who was the prior Grizzlies coach? Yeah, I mean, the coach that the Grizzlies just signed to an extension, what's his name, was touted as one of those quote-unquote geniuses in their system and was knocking on the door for a while now. It's been a crazy NBA year, right? I mean, Memphis fires their coach. And Denver fires Mike Malone. All right, his name is Tomas Izalo. Tomas Izalo. It could be a guy that we're not talking about. So somebody said David Fizdale as the next Knicks head coach. What are we doing? What are we doing here? First and foremost, I saw David Fizdale was being interviewed, and I'm like, what? Did we not learn? Did we not learn our lesson? Why David Fizdale? No, but El Figgy says Jay Wright is my first coach over Bryant because he has a track record of championship success. Obviously, at the college level, but sometimes that's even more difficult. Yeah, El Figgy, look, you're going to automatically throw in Jay Wright. Bring back Mike Riller. You're going to automatically throw in Jay Wright because of the Villanova aspect, right? Mikal, Brunson, Hart, but you got to be careful there. You got to be really careful there. Somebody tweeted something that Jay Wright, apparently he's close to Jay Wright, and he said that, I have a better chance of becoming the next Knicks head coach besides Jay Wright. Now things change in a blink, but sometimes these guys just want to stay college coaches. They're fine. They don't want the pressure of the NBA, right? I mean, Dan Hurley got offered so much money to become the Lakers head coach, and he turned it down. Somebody said, Mike says Rick Brunson. I don't think Rick Brunson will be the Knicks head coach. I don't think the Knicks go that route. I don't. I think he would stay as the, lead assistant. Maybe, I don't think he'll be the next Knicks head coach though. But, who knows? I could be totally wrong. And ban Fizdale from stepping foot in Manhattan. LB So Wavy says, I want Johnny Bryan. It's time to bring young generation coaches instead of just playing musical chairs with these old heads. Yeah, look, that's the way the NBA now, LB. But that's the thing. Musical chairs with coaches that have been around the league. Like people say, Mike Brown, but do we really want to go down that route? Mike Malone is like Isaiah says in the chat, Mike Malone is Thibs 2.0. The only thing he has over Tom Thibodeau is a ring, right? And he did trust his rookie in the NBA Finals, though. Why is his name escaping me? I remember the NBA Finals run. He trusted Christian Braun. He trusted him. So he got a ring too. And he has ties to this organization. Let's put my charger. Sorry. Just getting my charger on my phone. Phone's about to die. Yeah, so again, appreciate you guys in here, man. Once again, impromptu live stream. Tom Thibodeau is no longer the Knicks head coach. A lot of avenues. We are just getting started. It is June 3rd, and it seems like summer is, officially hasn't even started yet, first and foremost. Knicks got eliminated on Saturday, and 3 days later, they have no head coach. It just shows you, this team was, winning based off talent, and they think that with a new voice in there, and then that's what's coming out. Let's get the Knicks statement, right? The Knicks statement alluded to a new voice, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it says, let me just put this in the chat. Hold on. It says, our organization is singularly focused on winning a championship for our fans. This pursuit led us to a difficult decision to inform Tom Thibodeau that we've decided to move in another direction. We can't thank Tom enough for pouring his heart and soul into each and every day of being the New York Knicks head coach. He led us not only with class and professionalism for the past 5 seasons, but also to tremendous success on the court with 4 playoff berths and 4 playoff series victories. Ultimately, we made the decision we feel is best for our organization moving forward. Tom will always be a part of our Knicks family. We wish him nothing but the best in the future. So I would like Leon Rose to speak. He never does, but I would like him to speak now. I don't think he will, but this would be like a perfect time for him to speak. And I know he speaks with his actions, but I don't know. Look, let's be honest, guys. A lot of us wanted this to happen, right? A lot of us wanted this to happen, and it happened. A lot of us wanted this Knicks team to make this change all season long. I came on post games There were times where I'm like, I'm on the train. I remember that again. I remember the game in Charlotte where he back-to-back Knicks lost. He refused to expand the rotation. And it just shows you that a lot of people in that front office shared the same sentiment as Knicks fans. He didn't play the rookies all year long, like all season long. He didn't play the rookies. And in an NBA where it is so important to have depth, it is so important to see what you have on your bench. You're in the first apron. There's only so much you can do in that second apron. It restricts you a lot. Daddy, I mean, you played him game one and you went away from it with him. Huck Porty, it took you a while to get to him. When we saw him out there, he did good. Kolek, he didn't really play these guys until he was forced to. And I think that what kind of hampered him was the New York Knicks locked up the 3rd seed for the better part of a month, right? That was a perfect opportunity to just try different lineups, try what works, try what doesn't. You're not going to go back. You're not going to go up. You're in the 3rd seed. I know you want to continue to win at all costs, but sometimes you got to lose the battle to win the war. And I just think he got so addicted to winning, which is not a bad thing, by the way, in the regular season, that he did not want to deviate from his plan, right? And I just think you're surrounding him with people that wouldn't undermine him, and he just got in his own way. And you can say on one hand, you reached the Eastern Conference Finals, but on the other hand, you faced a Pacer team who you should have beat. That game 1 lost and the game 2 loss probably didn't sit well in the Knicks front office. Probably didn't. So there must have been some real turmoil there for a Knicks team who hasn't reached the Eastern Conference Finals in 25 seasons to fire a coach that his extension hasn't even kicked in yet. There must have been some real stuff behind the scenes that we don't know about, but it came out today. So, he's no longer the coach now. Maybe some players are smiling, right? I don't know that for a fact. But when you have players going to PJ Tucker to diffuse situations and he's the grown up in the room, right? When it shouldn't really be that way. Here we are. Yeah, let's get to your calls, man. I'm going to take some calls in the Discord. I talked a lot. I've been on here for almost 2 hours. I'm gonna let you guys speak now. I'm going to put the Discord link in the YouTube chat, and here we go. All right, Discord link. If you guys want to call in. Pin to the show. Sorry. I know you guys want to speak. Those of you on TikTok, if you guys want to listen to the Discord callers, head over to the YouTube. Link is in the bio. So you can hear them speak, voice what they got on their mind. All right, let's go. Say Quizzy, what's up? How are you?
This was shocking. This was really quick. Like I was still kind of depressed about the little loss, no more Knicks basketball, but they gave me more content to look at. Because when I seen it, I think my mom told me, she was like, Tibbs is gone. I'm like, you're lying. There's no way. It's been like 3 days. I checked my phone. Tibbs is everywhere. Like, this was shocking to me. Like, because after we beat Boston, I thought that kind of saved them. I thought right there.
I thought the first 2 games, I thought he had a job for life. but it didn't matter.
Yeah, after we beat Boston, I thought he was safe because I thought that was the main focus. Like, can he get us over the hump or at least be competitive? And when it happened, I'm like, okay, I think he would be safe, but I guess not. Which I'm fine with because I believe Tibbs did a good job.
Yep.
He brung us back up. Like we was trash. We was nothing. It was coaches where we was down by 50, smiling. Tibbs was never that. Like we could be up 50, he'd still be mad. But I give him his props for helping us out. But it's just like certain things like he had to fix though. Like you don't play the young players.
We have to face facts, y'all.
Wait, I'll
This is honestly.
Let's say Quizzy finish. Let's say Quizzy finish.
Yeah.
Go ahead, say Quizzy.
But yeah, like I was saying, you don't play like the young players, even in the regular season. Like I could understand it in the playoffs, you don't trust them, but in the regular season, he don't get creative to see what we have to even notice. Like I think everybody at the start of the season was saying, play Huck Porty. We know Huck Porty's better than Sims. He took a while to do that. We ain't see Huck Porty for a while.
Yeah,
everybody
right.
was
Porty
saying
was
that.
cooking Sims.
Yeah, everybody was saying that. Even you could say, like, looking at and like watching like the playoffs. We played the Hawks the first year, had home court advantage. It was the first time, so whatever. We lose that home court advantage. After that, we play Miami. We got home court advantage. We lose that. Last year, had home court advantage. You could say it's injuries, yeah. But you had home court advantage, lost that. Now this year, you got a better team. You got home court advantage again. You lose that.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody was saying play right, play Shamit. We need some defense. Defense is the main focus. We can't stop nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And the offense was not as smooth as earlier in the season. Like when we played the Nuggets and the ball was moving and we was having like 35 assists, 29, 30. Like that slowed down. And then you had the Bridges situation where Bridges talking about play the team and the Hart arguing. It kind of add up. And to go into next year, you kind of like, is he going to play the young players? That was always the conversation.
Yep.
Is Kolek and them actually going to play? Can he change? And I thought this series could maybe change him after the Pacers kind of exposed them.
Yeah.
But now he ain't here. But which I don't care. We need a new voice, and I'm happy to what Tibbs did for us. But that's all I really got to say, though.
Appreciate you say Quizzy. Yeah, we have Stefan Bondi just tweeted, you can forget about Mike Malone as a replacement for Thibodeau. Not going to happen. So I know I have a poll in the YouTube chat. I put Mike Malone up there. It's not going to happen, unfortunately. So scratch out Mike Malone. Let's get to El Figgy. I know you got a lot. What do you got tonight? I know you got a lot to say.
And no, and I'm so sorry, say Quizzy. I wasn't talking to you there. Actually, I've been having a debate with my husband since the news came out.
Oh, okay.
So I'm so sorry. I took my mute off, but that wasn't directed at him. But yeah, no, just we're of different minds a little bit. He doesn't necessarily love Thibs, but he just is a little cautiously optimistic because he just thinks like, the grass isn't always greener. I'm not a Thibs apologist, so I'll say this today.
Yeah.
We need to, okay, so here I am. Now, we have to look at the Pacers series and take it for what it is. Thibs is the major reason we lost game 1 and 2. I can point to exactly, and I can pinpoint the exact moment when we lost game 1 and then we lost game 2. Obviously in the fourth quarter, both games. And then, of course, game 6 this past weekend on Saturday, we needed to come out of that third quarter with our hair on fire. Despite all the mistakes we made in the first half, the turnovers, Mikhail and even Jaylen making crazy turnovers.
Yeah.
OG was having a great game. We were only down by 4 coming into the half. We were still in great shape despite all the mistakes. Thibs had to get those guys together. He had to get them locked in. He had to make them understand this is do or die. It's win or go home, boys. And he starts Josh Hart. He starts him in the third quarter. I'm sitting here looking and I couldn't even speak. I was speechless. I'm watching the third quarter unfold. And then he brings in Mitch and Deuce when we're down by 15. It made zero sense.
Yeah.
Thibs is the reason we lost the series.
Yeah.
And guys, I know, look, the one thing I want to give Thibs credit for, I think he did bring us back to a winning mentality
Of
in the New
course.
York Knicks locker room.
Yep.
And I want to give him props for that. But look, I've been watching the Knicks better part of my adult life, and I can say this. We can sit here and give Thibs credit, but we don't know if Thibs has held us back as much as he's propelled us forward. Let's not forget, Thibs
I like
played
that.
Alfred Payton.
Yeah.
He played Alfred Payton over Emmanuel Quickly. He played Alex Burke over IQ.
Yeah.
We had to give up 2 second-round picks. Or I'm sorry, we got 2 second-round picks in a trade for Obi Toppin because he wasn't getting along with Thibs. Quentin Grimes is doing better in the league without having to deal with Thibs. I mean, he gave us maybe a winning mentality, but who's to say we would not be even further along than we are now, getting knocked out of the Eastern Conference in 6 games, if we had not parted with Thibs maybe even a little sooner, y'all. We don't know that.
So I'll figure it's up to you. Was it the coaching or the talent that got them this far?
I think that we won despite bad I think we were getting out coached.
Yeah.
And I think it was obvious in this playoff series. I think if I'm being honest with you, I think we got out coached against Detroit, but I think we won that series despite Thibs. I think that we won the Boston series despite Thibs. I think obviously in Detroit we had the campaign game where he came in and he won that one for us. Thibs doesn't even use him in game 2. And we lost that game in Madison Square Garden. I think we've been outplaying our coach, outperforming bad. I think we've been outperforming bad coaching. And I think that we need to be very smart going forward now. I think that we did, if we had a list of problems that we had to handle, I think we did fix problem number 1, which was just, unfortunately, Thibs, you're not the coach to get us over this hurdle. We appreciate everything you've done for us respectfully. I don't know what Thibs' future is going to be in the league because last year, he was voted by the players as the coach you least likely want to be playing for.
That's important stuff, man. That you can't look over that. Last year, it's a good little nugget. I mean, he was voted. I mean, these are anonymous polls, right? He was voted as the least likely to, a coach to play for, right?
I mean, again, I was discussing this earlier. And, he can maybe, if he doesn't want to go to a front office position with the Knicks, which I'm sure Leon has offered him. And look, guys, anybody who's a Thibs, anybody, and I can respect that, but Thibs is going to be fine. Thibs is going to be fine. He's got a guaranteed $30 million with us. He's going to be fine. If he decides that he doesn't want to go and take a head office job or something of that nature, he's not going to be able to coach a Phoenix Suns team or something like that, just because he cannot. Do you think KD and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, those are divas? They're not going to listen to Thibs.
No,
Thibs needs a player like Jaylen Brunson, who's just an all-out classy guy, who's going to respectful. He is a dream. I think we all need to appreciate the fact that our marquee player is just, he's a coach's dream. And that's why Thibs has survived as long as he has. And I think that we may even be a little further along in our journey to getting to that championship. And I think Leon knows it. I think our eye is on the prize, and I think we really actually, guys, I think we are, this is like ripping the Band-Aid off. Yeah, the wound is going to be a little fresh for a couple of days, and then it's going to scab up and we're going to feel better after. And we just got to move forward. Let's go.
Yep. Appreciate the call out, Figgy. Let's go. It's done. I know a lot of Knicks fans, including myself, and a lot of people that call in wanted this moment. And look, the next hire is going to be extremely important for this team. And, I can't wait to see who's next. All right. Let's get to Dis Rover up next. What's going on, Dis Rover?
You're.
All
right, what's going on, everybody? Knicks Nation and everybody. I just want to say, I know, for those who know me, I've been calling for Tips. I've been calling for his head for pretty much most of the season.
Yes, you have.
Yes, I have. However, I will give him his credit.
Yep.
And I would like to thank Thomas Thibodeau for helping to make the New York Knicks a premier destination
There you
once
go.
again.
There you go.
Without Tibbs, we'd still be slumming it with God knows who.
It's true. Tom Thibodeau came in here, changed the culture, and he just brought New York back on the map. And you can't deny that as a New York Knicks fan. You can hate him all you want, but it got stale in the end, yes. But there were some great years, great moments with Thibs that I will cherish for a very long time, and I would not remember the good. But yes, it got stale, and here we are.
And unfortunately, we may have just reached the end of the rope, the end of the line with Tibbs, and
Yeah,
it's not an indictment on him. It's not saying he's not a bad coach, but it's just time for this team, this roster as it's constructed, to turn the next chapter in our book,
agree.
because we have the chip in mind now. We're not happy to be in the playoffs anymore.
Agree.
We're looking for the grand prize. We want to hold that. I want to see our boys hold that trophy over their heads in my lifetime. And I think this is it. This is our all in.
Yep.
All our chips are in, and we just got to let them see where this new coach and possibly maybe a few new players, including our core, take us. It's going to be a wild ride, but I'm looking forward to the next 3 years now. I'll tell you that much.
We're here. The front office made a decision that the coach was the main culprit of, quote unquote, if you want to say holding the team back. I mean, you're 2 wins away from the NBA Finals. I mean, they just thought that the stuff behind the scenes had to be so toxic and bad, and players really just probably didn't get along, and they were probably main players that didn't get along with Tom Thibodeau. And, this coaching staff, they said Eastern Conference Finals, yes, but we thought we came into this Pacers series like we can beat these guys. And back-to-back years, you got out-coached, and it was the game 1, then the game 2, then the game 4, and then the game 6. You lost. You lost. So here we are. You have anything else, this Rover?
Nothing but look forward to the future. Let's go Knicks.
Let's go Knicks. Let's go Knicks. Caesar, appreciate the follow on TikTok. Appreciate you guys on TikTok. We are doing live calls on Discord. That's why you're probably not hearing me talk a lot. I'm listening to the callers. The callers want to speak. Isaiah, I see you in here. What's going on, Isaiah? Hope all is well.
Going on, my bad. I'm just working right now, so I had to get off for a second. But
Okay.
I will say one thing though. 2 things. Number one, it's a bittersweet feeling, man, that he's done, because I've been one of the vocal guys saying I don't want him anymore.
Yeah.
I do respect him for what he's done for us, man. Very, very, very good thing. And another thing to add about the coaching stuff and that. All right. I hope that a lot of the coaching staff's not going to be here when since he's left. Because some of the guys we have here are very Thibs-centric guys, so I expect a lot of coaching changes around the coaching staff to change as well.
Oh, yeah, I saw Dame Tudes in the chat. What's going on, Dame? Says, what happens to Rick Brunson? New coach means new coaching staff. That will be extremely interesting.
Well, let's say if we get Johnny Bryant, I think Rick Brunson stays because Rick Brunson was here when Johnny Bryant was here.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's true.
But if it's anybody else, I think he's gone.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have his son, so I think there's always a possibility he can stay just because Jaylen Brunson's on this team. But I don't know now, because I really thought, like everybody's saying, I really thought Tom Thibodeau's job was safe for 1 more year.
Yeah.
Really thought that.
Yeah, me too.
That's all I have to say.
Okay.
I'll just talk in the chat more.
Yeah.
I can't talk too much, but thanks for having me.
Hey, man, I appreciate you hopping on here at work. Don't get in trouble.
No, it's okay. I just got customers right now. That's it.
All right. Appreciate you, Isaiah. Thanks for rocking with us. Appreciate everyone in the Discord. You guys can hop into Discord. We chatted up in there. Discord's it's lit right now. I mean, after the Thibs news, everyone was going crazy. So here we are. This Rover says Rick can stay. He's harmless. Jay Wright or Jeff Van Gundy. Got a new poll in the YouTube chat. Let's refresh this since Mike Malone take his name off the list, according to Stefan Bondi. He says Mike Malone is not going to happen. So you can take that name off the list. So I put Johnny Bryant, Jay Wright, Dan Hurley, James Borrego, and 15 votes. You really don't know which direction this Knicks team goes. I mean, Johnny Bryant is the hot name because he was on our bench, and a lot of Knicks fans loved him, and Knicks players loved him, and he was a very vital part in the success in Emmanuel Quickly, and I'm sorry, Jaylen Brunsons is going to give him his props. So, and Donovan Mitchell. So he is a very smart basketball mind, but I trust that Leon Rose is going to make the right decision, and we just have to wait to see what that decision is. And let's go. Let's do it. Somebody said, who is James Borrego? James Borrego is the assistant on the Pelicans, if I'm not mistaken, right? He was a name that was being thrown out there. James Borrego. I think he was assistant on the Pelicans, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, you don't know. You're trying to get a feel for it, but you don't really know. Dan Hurley is not you leaving UConn, somebody says. Somebody else says, feel like we can actually watch our bench actually develop now. It's like a bittersweet feeling is the right word, right? Bittersweet feeling. You actually feel like you could watch your bench develop, right? But hey, as they always say, sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side. You have to be very careful about who you hire next. And this is a very pivotal moment in Leon Rose's tenure. It is. LB says Johnny Bryant shouldn't even go to Phoenix interview. Just turn back around, hit the JFK airport. You had that coach immediately tomorrow. Sam Cassell? He's on Boston, right? Sam Cassell. What about Sam Cassell? Hasn't thrown his name out there. Sam Cassell on the Boston staff. I just don't think it's going to be like a Mark Jackson, Jeff Van Gundy, Mike Brown. I don't think it's going to be one of those guys. I don't. I could be wrong. It's not going to be Mike Malone, according to Stefan Bondi. So, this just came out like literally an hour ago. So here we are. We are just getting started. This is the summer of Knicks basketball. Oh man, summer of Knicks basketball. Appreciate the love, man. Appreciate the follows, subs, the likes. Stay connected with Knicks Nation. Please do subscribe. We are going to be doing content, bringing content all year round, all summer long. It is just getting started. The crazy summer begins. Once again, appreciate you guys in the chat. Once we see rumors about who the next Knicks head coach will be, I will be back on here. If we get a hire, I will be back on here. Of course, it's always let's go Knicks. The season ended 3 days ago. But it feels like after today, it feels like something great is just beginning. Something great is just beginning. So, once again, appreciate you guys. TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, live on X as well. Follow the socials at Knicks Nation on Instagram, at Knicks Nation on Twitter, at Knicks Nation _ on TikTok, and of course over here on YouTube at Knicks Nation. So let's see who comes. Let's see who the next Knicks head coach will be. But one thing we know is that Tom Thibodeau is no longer our coach. Once again, thank you, Tom Thibodeau, for everything you've done for this franchise. Honestly, I don't want to, rain on his parade, but just a tremendous guy, tremendous person. And let's go Knicks. Let's see who comes about this. I'm Anthony from Knicks Nation. Subscribe, like, all the good stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.